Y'all believe I was about to start recording without even plugging in the microphone. Welcome to Macroethic, all 12 of you. Steve, Serena, Sherwin, all of you other people with an S at the beginning, thanks for joining us. All one of me. One of these days, somebody named Steve is going to stumble upon Macroethic and be very honored. Today's episode is actually a introduction to a poem that I wrote. This coming Sunday, that episode will be the poem, "The Scientist Turned Science into Another Dumb Religion." Whatever the number after this number, that's the poem that this is an introduction to. So today's episode, but first, we take a look at a great work of art from 30,000 years ago on the walls of the Altamira Cave. Upon seeing the Paleolithic cave art at Altamira, Picasso was quoted as having said, "After Altamira, all is decadence." The first paintings known to the modern world to feature sophisticated artwork of our Paleolithic ancestors, Altamira Cave was discovered in Cantabria, Spain, in 1879 by the 8-year-old daughter of so-called amateur archaeologist named Satula. Satula published his findings in 1880, which suggested the polychrome bison, deer, and horses were painted over 10,000 years ago. Upon publication, the so-called scientific community accused Satula of forgery. The so-called scientists had already made up their mind about the history of humanity, and these so-called scientists were certain that 10,000 years ago, hominids were still monkey-brained idiots who didn't have the nuanced technique or aesthetic awareness to paint such advanced artwork. They ignored the evidence of Paleolithic artifacts found all throughout the cave. They refused to study the cave any further, and seeing that some of the walls were wet, accused Satula of conspiring with a modern painter. Decades later, after more sophisticated cave paintings were found in France, some of the so-called scientists who ruined Satula's career with accusations of forgery legitimized the Altamira cave paintings and publicly apologized to Satula, though by this time Satula was deceased. Using modern carbon dating, the Altamira cave paintings were found to be much older than Satula had proposed, dating from 28,000 to 37,000 years. Every era of human existence has had its own experts. Every conglomeration of experts in every era of human existence has had its own consensus reality. And every era of human existence has believed its consensus reality to be the most advanced and most accurate version of reality. And every era of human existence has had its own Satulas, so-called amateurs, whose theories don't fit with its era's consensus reality. The politics of so-called scientific community haven't changed a bit in the century and a half since Altamira's discovery. The desperate clinging of modern scientists to their own dumb, depressing consensus reality uses much more advanced techniques and complex theories in the modern era, but their clinging and their bullying of the outsider remains in full force. Lest ye forget, Galileo was an outsider and an amateur, too. Everything new is attacked and ridiculed by those adherents to consensus reality. Anyone who doesn't receive a decade-long brainwashing from modern universities is considered an outsider and an amateur by adherents to consensus reality. Without a PhD, we're all amateurs and outsiders whose experiences in this life have no sway over reality itself. But the history of humanity and the nature of this existence are far more profound and indubitably more interesting than any theory or consensus could contain within it. As long as archaeologists remain closed-minded about ancient civilizations, consensus reality will remain ignorant of the profundity of humanity. And as long as materialistic scientists refuse to study the metaphysical world in which we live, consensus reality will remain materialistic. The irony of religion v. science is there's no difference anymore. Ignoring certain aspects of reality based upon belief systems is dogma. And the nihilistic, materialistic worldview is just another belief system, another dogma. The consensus reality of rationalistic, materialistic scientists has become the world's preeminent religion. And now, an introduction to the poem, The Scientist Turned Science into Another Dumb Religion. There's an all-pervading lie which has made its way into every aspect of modern society, that through scientific study, humans have explored and mapped the last frontier. The entirety of existence is now known, and the functionality of the universe, Earth, life, and the human system is now fully understood. The headline is, "Materialistic scientists from a materialistic society study the material universe, conclude the universe is entirely material." The problem with this is it's not true. And it's a highly destructive worldview which is killing off all the cool people. And I'm left mucking about with you emotionless, unimaginative, dogmatic rationalists and religious nuts, as though those are the only two options. The truth is, you can love science and spirit without any of the dumb belief systems so often ascribed to them. The yin is not at war with the yang. The left brain hemisphere is not at war with the right brain hemisphere. The masculine is not at war with the feminine. And the rational, logical dimension of existence is not at war with the irrational, illogical dimension of this existence. I love science as a tool for discernment, not as a belief system. I don't believe in science the same way I don't believe in hammers. The tool can help me to understand the nature of existence, but the tool itself is not something which can be believed or disbelieved. I don't believe in beliefs. I don't believe in science v. spirituality. I don't believe in God the same way I don't believe in self. I am a piece of God. I am self. I don't have to believe anything to explore the self. The only place I can experience God or science is through self. I can explore the rational and irrational dimensions of this existence simultaneously, and I don't have to believe in science to use scientific method. In this poem, I am certainly not arguing for religion. In fact, I'm arguing against religion, and I'm now including scientific fundamentalism as the world's preeminent religion. Scientific fundamentalism is the dogma of nihilistic rationalism which excludes any discussion, any hypotheses, any experiments or studies outside the confounds of one empirical, material universe. We live in an age of outsourcing our health to lab coats who don't understand the mind-body connection and refuse to acknowledge the human energy system. Neuroscience, in its adolescence, is already steamrolling psychology. Modern psychology is not science. It's a taxonomy of symptoms with no cures. It's a for-profit scam and the world's most successful drug ring. I can hear the mid-21st century echoes of your kids laughing at how dumb psychology used to be in 2023. Archaeology, with a few bone fragments and a broken clay pot, arrogantly proclaims to know the entire story of human existence. And those stories completely change every decade. Human evolution is a much more fascinating story than fundamentalists are willing to acknowledge. Should I go on? The fact is, they don't fucking know, and not knowing is much more fun and much more inspiring than the incorrect certainties of dogmatic fundamentalism. Saying, I don't know, is the beginning of the greatest journey in existence. I don't know rocks. I highly recommend starting everything from there. Scientific fundamentalists blacklist scientists who try to take on the world's greatest mysteries. It's no longer the Catholic Church who's persecuting outsider scientists like Galileo and Copernicus. It's scientists and academia who hold all the cards and pull all the strings now, and anyone who poses a new idea or challenges the paradigm of the fundamentalists' materialistic worldview is shut down, blacklisted, made out to be a fool. In many cases, data gathered by these so-called outsiders is skewed and distorted by so-called mainstream scientists. So fuck it. I did my own scientific experiment on the nature of consciousness, and it's taken me further than I ever thought possible. The true nature of this existence is unfathomably expansive and so much more interesting than religious fundamentalists or scientific fundamentalists are willing to give credit. This existence doesn't fit into a textbook or a Bible. It can't be fully understood through any belief structure. There are great mysteries yet to be unveiled, and propagating materialistic dogma hinders the exploration of these great mysteries. I decided to use my gift of the runes to tear the fundamentalists a new asshole. For all 12 of my fans, and your mom, and maybe my mom, but she's included as one of the 12 fans. The real clientele I hope to reach someday are the I believe in science people and the I believe in religion people. Don't believe everything you're told, no matter who tells it. Do the science and be the spirit, or be the science and do the spirit. Stop believing beliefs and explore the true nature of this existence for yourself. This poem, in this Sunday's episode, is simultaneously a love letter to the history of science, as well as an expression of disgust with the scientific fundamentalists' boring, depressing, and flat-out wrong materialistic worldview. I hope you enjoy.